And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I'll gladly stand up next to you.
Okay, babe, put that away.
We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers, stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now.
Oh, I also have one more thing about Meg, just to add. So Meg and I used to be enemies. Or
Finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way.
Ladies and gentlemen,
it's a wrap.
We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Well, welcome again to another episode of All Abroad Podcast. Today, I will be your host. My name is Kat, and we also have...
you also have Sweeney here.
Hi, it's Meg.
Joy here. Hello, everyone.
Awesome. Well, last episode, we talked about kind of our journey in coming to the States, like basically coming to America, what it was like coming to America the first time we got here, what were the hurdles that we had to go through. And today we're actually going to discuss after coming to America, after all the adjustments we had to make, what was it like becoming a citizen? And what was the process towards citizenship? So let's go ahead with Joy. Let's go with you first, Joy.
I think I had to be here for 5 years. I have to be a green card holder for 5 years. And when the 5-year mark hit, then I remember I had to go to a community college. I had to attend this class. They did have a free class for people who want to be an American citizen. So it was so easy because they were teaching you basic English pretty much. And after that, I left after 2 classes and I just studied on my own. So, and then I had to memorize the national anthem because I heard that they would ask you to sing it. I was so scared. And then there were 100 questions that you have to memorize or just know the answers to. So I had to study that. And then after a few months of waiting, we all went to Los Angeles Convention Center. There was thousands and thousands of people who congregated that convention center, and we all, took our oath, and I had to give up my Filipino citizenship and gave everything up, my green card. And it was a proud moment. And I remember my parents were kind of emotional at that point, a dream come true. And for me, it was yes, I can now travel and I can go all over the world without having to worry about getting a visa or, so that was the most exciting part for me.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. It's really funny you say that, Joy, that you remember you heard that they were going to make you sing Star Spangled Banner. And the same for me too. When I got my citizenship test, I was I got to make sure I memorize this song just in case they ask me to sing it. How about you, Meg?
Exactly the same with Joy. And of course, you have to also pay the naturalization fee. On during my time, I think it was 500. Now it's I don't know, it's 800 or 1,000. So the same process. I remember I had to make a reviewer out from that leaflet pamphlet that they gave me. And I had to study that, memorize some things. And I remember my interviewer was a middle-aged, 50, 60 man. And he asked me 3 questions. And he told me, and I passed. And then he told me that I can swear in a week. I had my swearing in Pomona. And we celebrated with my family, had dinner in a restaurant, and it was a proud moment. It was finally a stamp that I'm American citizen. It was a proud moment for me.
Wow. Yeah, it's really crazy you say that. Like, just the whole proud moment. I think it resonates for all of us. I haven't asked you yours, Sween, but I could pretty much probably guarantee that for all of us, it's just that moment of like being proud that it's like, wow, this actually happened. Like, it's not an easy journey coming here. It's not an easy journey for our parents coming here, and the stuff that they had to sacrifice and the stuff that they had to go through to get us here. And then now it's almost like realizing our dreams, but also realizing their dreams, right? Like it's like them actually being proud because they actually did it for their family. How about you, Sween?
For me, I remembered I didn't even like think of becoming a citizen. It was my dad that was always trying to remind me, because I already graduated from college and I was already working at my first like official job outside of college. And that was at Macy's Northwest in Seattle. And my dad just one day said, hey, maybe you should look into becoming a citizen. And I think the reason why I kept delaying it is because I had to pay. I think it was about $600 that I had to pay. And I'm like, shoot, I had to pay out of my pocket. And so I delayed it for so long. But my dad kept like poking at me like, you need to do it. You need to do it. And when I did, I do remember making flashcards. There's 100 questions that you need to memorize, but they'll only ask you 3 or 5 questions out of that 100. So you really have to know your stuff. And I remember I went to the interview, and there were 2 women that interviewed me, and then they were very casual. Like they asked me one question, and then they were like, "Oh, where do you work?" And I told them, "Oh, I work at Macy's." Then they asked me another question from the pamphlet, and then they're like, "Oh, what department do you work at? Do you get discount on shoes?" I remember them asking me that. And I wonder if they were just trying to make me feel comfortable and like at ease. And I remember I one of the questions they asked me, I got it wrong, but they gave me a hint. And then they're like, okay, good, you're good to go. So I told my dad, I'm like, wow, that was very easy. But I don't remember anything else after that. Like, I don't even remember the swearing in part or anything. But when I finally got my paperwork, it was just a sigh of relief that, from now on, I don't have to worry about my papers. Like all those years we spent working on getting our papers together, I finally can just sit back, relax. I'm an American citizen now.
Yeah, so that sigh of relief is so real, right? Like for all of us. For me, my citizenship was a little bit different because I didn't come from kind of like the same as you guys, where you guys got petitioned by your parents, right? Like my green card basically came through marriage, and whoa, was that a process? That's a process. So basically, what happens is when you get married, you get interviewed, you file for your green card, and through all of that, the green card process, you get interviewed. And I remember hearing stories of like, you got to make sure that like it's real because they could deny you if they think it's not real. Make sure you are living under the same roof because the INS could come knocking at your door. Make sure it's like little stories, like things that I heard, like make sure your husband or your whatever, that you guys both know like what color underwear you're wearing, because they could ask you that morning or during the interview, and you better know it. Oh, and by the way, they're going to separate you into 2 different rooms because they're going to ask you the same questions to just see if you answer the same questions correctly. And so there's just all this like hype and story and after story of like things I've heard. And at that time, I was also working with someone at a physical therapy place, and she is a Russian woman who's been with her boyfriend for a very long time here in the States. And they went through the whole petition together, and they got denied because they thought that it was fake. The relationship was fake. And so like that whole like, oh, like just the weight of like, dude, like if you don't believe that this is real, then I don't have any chances after this. This is my only chance, like I don't know how else I could be a citizen, or how else I could apply for a green card. 1 second. Babe, can you turn up that music? Oh my gosh. Hey, what are you playing?
Cause the flag still stands for freedom. And they can't.
Do you hear the music?
What's the song?
And I'm proud to be an American, where
no, wait. I'm gonna finish the story. Oh my gosh. Like, can you turn that off, please? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so that's yeah, that's what he remembers he said when I got the swearing in. But anyway, it was really scary because of all these stories that I've heard. And so I don't know if, like, for me, they say that, oh, when you get married it's going to be easy because they're going to give you your green card. From the stories that I've heard and from someone that I've experienced personally, like, someone that I work with, it's actually not that easy. And there's a chance I could get denied, right? So it was really scary for me. I remember making this big scrapbook. I kid you, it was probably like this thick, a scrapbook of Lee and I's photos together, and we brought it to the interview. And when we brought it to the interview, the lady was like looking, I'm like, oh, okay. And she was like scrolling through the scrapbook, and she asked us one question. She was like, so where did you guys, oh, and then she said something like, oh, so you guys met in LA or in New York? Because I was telling her the story that I went to New York first when I got here before I moved to LA, and Lee's from New York. So she said, oh, so you guys met in New York? And Lee said yes, and I said no at the same time. And this is her. She like scrolled through the album, and as we both said yes and no together at the same time, she said, she looked at us. She's like, uh-oh. And she said, so which one is it, guys? And my heart dropped, and I was like, oh goodness, oh goodness, oh goodness. We just blew it. What? It's such a freaking simple question. Like seriously? Like seriously? Because we didn't meet in New York. We met in LA. Like Lee, moved to LA and we met here. And he just blurted out yes, and I said no. And the real answer is no, right? So then I had to explain it to her, and she's like, okay. And she just kept like looking. And then after that, but then we got approved. So I'm just like, oh my God, thank God. It was so scary, And so anyway, through all that, same thing, you had to be a green card holder for a couple years, and then you go through your citizenship. For the citizenship interview, it was just me alone. I didn't have Lee anymore with me because I didn't really think much about it. I thought the green card was like the hard part, right? And then once you have the green card and you get your citizenship, it's just free flowing. So then I went to the interview for the citizenship, and the guy who interviewed me was like, so where's your husband? And I was like, working. It was just like nonchalant with me, like, working? Like, I don't know. And he's like, why is he not here with you? And I'm like, oh my God, was he supposed to be with me? Like, it was just, anyway, it was just, I feel like every single time I had an interview, it was so scary for me. But finally, everything worked out and I got sworn in. And on that day, I remember that day so much. I still remember even my outfit and the way I look. I had like this big, long, like kind of like green jacket. I had my hair like really done up. It was really, I have pictures of it. And Lee and I were walking and I was waving the American flag and I was crying that day. It was just him and I when I got sworn in. It was just really a proud moment as well.
And that's what's tough, huh? Because every question feels like a trap.
Yes, every question, it feels like they're out to get you. It's like a trick question. It's like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, what am I supposed to say? I don't know what am I supposed to say. And you're already nervous, so it's like another layer on top of like the whole thing, right? Because you're already nervous and you're like, oh my gosh, like, is this gonna work out? My whole life depends. It's hanging on a balance right here, in this particular interview. So it's just, yeah, it's interesting. But I do want to ask, like, now that, like, once you got the citizenship, like, what does that mean for you? I know we all said it's a proud moment, like things like, oh, finally we could travel. Finally, we don't have to worry. But like, what else is that? How else is that significant for you? And what does that mean for your family? Oh, Meg, go for it.
The right to vote.
The right to vote. Yeah, that's one thing, right? Like that's a big thing. And finally, like, you're able to vote because you're a citizen. Anyone else?
I want to say something, and I don't know if this is true, but I just remember when I say younger, back like maybe about 15 years ago, but I just remember hearing stories that if there was any war going on in the Philippines, if you're an American citizen, they will come and get you and rescue you. And so,
yeah, no, totally. I heard that too growing up.
Yeah, so I felt like, well, that's a privilege by itself, and just the fact that we moved to America for the American dream, I feel less of a imposter now that I'm American citizen, that I can
Mhm.
actually go for that American dream, because as a green card holder, you're limited as far as what you can do. I don't remember what limits there were, but you don't get the full citizens benefits, of course, like social security benefits, all of that. I wasn't thinking about voting at all because I wasn't woke until recently in my last 10 years of life. But yeah, that's voting is definitely an amazing benefit of being a citizen. And also, I think it was more for my parents' peace of mind that they don't have to worry about me having to renew my green card or whatnot. And then, the hard work that they spent years and years of correcting our paperwork so that we can come here. It all feels like it was, worth the while, worth the wait, worth the sacrifice, that now I'm a citizen. Because I don't know, I think there's something about being an American citizen that's just, you're set at a higher standard than I guess other Filipinos. But that's the mentality back in the days.
Mhm. Yeah. How about you, Joy?
I think for me, it's more of like my parents can now finally breathe,
Breathe.
or relax, that we are at a place where we can achieve a lot of things, because if we just work hard, and do what we need to do, we can do great things. We can achieve a lot professionally, personally, and the world is ours pretty much. And like in the Philippines, if you're at a certain class, or then you can't really go higher.
Mhm.
Here you can do a lot. So for me, for my parents, I feel like their hard work really paid off, their sacrifices paid off, and they can relax and breathe and let us explore the world. And all their teachings about hard work and perseverance and being prayerful is finally gonna work if we just do our part.
Yeah.
And I think that was mostly what it meant for them, for us to have that American citizenship, or being just here in America and have that privilege.
Yeah. How about you, Meg? Were you going to say something?
Going back to Sweeney's statement about being an American, you're being put into a higher esteem because having lived in Europe, when you are known as a Filipino, just a Filipino, we like known as like a lot of Filipinos are domestic workers and all that. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you are a Filipino American citizen, you are put into a higher esteem because they look upon you, they look higher. They look upon you like higher, in a higher esteem than just being a Filipino. Because of course, just being a Filipino, they it is true that there is somehow still racism, that they just look on you as a like domestic worker and all that. So
Lower value, lower class. Yeah.
exactly. So it is a privilege that being a Filipino American, you're looked upon higher.
Wow. Isn't that crazy? Because again, it's just the kind of like that, the superiority of of America. It's crazy how like we all think that everything revolves around our country and everything, but it's that's like the stereotype and like the stereotypical thinking, but at the same time it is kind of true, because even when we go to other countries, it really does reflect, so it's crazy. For me, it's really it meant a lot, like a whole lot more for my family, because I was the first one being the U.S. citizen, right? So like, for all three of you, it was your parents that were able to get you here. And again, my story is a little bit different. So for me, getting my citizenship was almost like my journey to citizenship, and getting the citizenship is literally the turning point, the cornerstone of our entire family being okay with their papers. So because of me, I got my parents their papers. I was able to sponsor my parents, and they became documented from being undocumented Gosh, so they moved here when I was 7 years old, and I didn't get my papers until I believe it was 2007, 2008 that I got my green card, and then my citizenship came a few years later. So I can't even remember the date anymore, but basically, let's say it was 2012 or something like that. I can't really remember the exact date, but imagine from 1996 to 2007, basically was or 1990, because my
26 years.
yeah, that my parents were undocumented. And so for me, getting my citizenship was the cornerstone. And to be honest, like when I got my citizenship, my parents were so afraid of even like touching their papers and trying to see if they could, because they've been so undocumented for years and they've just lived like that for years, that they're like, if we do anything else, they might deport us, or because it's been so long that we've been here undocumented. So they were so scared. And I remember having this conversation with my dad. I said, Dad, would you rather live in hiding and in fear for the rest of your life, or would you rather like take this one bold action right now, because I could guarantee you that it's gonna be okay. Like I said, just have faith. Like it's gonna be okay. We are gonna be okay. Like just like I felt like it was such a struggle, and I felt like I wouldn't have gotten this citizenship for nothing. And I felt like if God took me all the way to this place where I can get my citizenship, that He will also see it through, that my parents would also get theirs. You know what I mean? So like when my parents were so scared, I just kept telling them like, don't live in fear and don't live in hiding. Like, what are you going to do? Be undocumented for your whole life? Like, no. Like, I finally got my citizenship. Let's get you. So then I got they got interviewed. They're not citizens yet, but they got their green card. And they're about to apply for their citizenship soon. And then because they have a green card and they're about to get their citizenship, they're also petitioning for my brother right now. So it's just like this whole snowball effect of like my entire family being taken care of because of that one citizenship for me. You know what I mean? So it really meant a lot for my entire family.
So this process is still going on for you then?
Yeah, it's still going on it's still going on. We're not completely done yet. We're not completely out of the woodworks yet. And my aunt, it's still the same. I'm also trying to get, my aunt, her green card, but because she's my aunt and it's not like she's immediate like family member when it comes to immediate mom dad, that line, we're going about her a different direction. So we finally found a job for her that's going to petition. And it's just been crazy. So that one's another story that's like it's like costing us almost like 25 grand to get this done, but it's like we're getting it done.
But you know what I just realized after all the conversations we had from the last episode to now is that the one thing that hindered a lot of our parents from doing the right things to begin with is the lack of information, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Because at least now you can Google and attorneys or whatever are more accessible. But I feel like back in the days, if you don't have money to flash around, you can't get the proper help. You can't get top-notch help. But
yeah.
I feel like now, and I'm glad, well, I'm not glad, but I think it makes it relevant that you're still going through it, because I was just going to say, I don't know what it's like now. I'm out of touch when it comes to, getting documented and getting citizenship, because I don't know if the process got better or worse just because of the climate of what it's been like the past few years. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if there's anything, I'm personally curious to know if the changes that's happened in our government in the past few years from, the Trump administration or from Obama's administration, that's kind of made it easier. I thought maybe easier for undocumented people to get documented. Like, has that have any effect on the process you're taking now?
I feel like it actually, for some reason, I feel like it's sped up a little bit, and I don't know why. Like just in the last few years, because the way it works is like when someone gets petitioned or whatever it is, like you have priority dates, and so like they have these things where it's like if your paperwork got filed, let's say just hypothetically, like in year 2000, and it doesn't mean that it's gonna get process right away because the priority date that they're processing at that point was still from year 1993 or whatever, right? So there's like the 7-year period for it to catch up. So then your paperwork that you got filed in the year 2007 might not even get processed until 2007 because there's a 7-year delay, right, in the whole processing. And so far from like what we've looked at so far, it just seems like my brother is kind of getting faster. And I don't know what's happening in the inner works of whatever it's been happening in the last few years. Whether Obama, Trump, I don't really know. All I know, it seems like it's sped up a little bit for my brother, which is really great. And then with the coronavirus happening, there's a lot more need for nurses. And that's why we were able to find something for my aunt right now that can help her get her citizenship because there's more need for nurses. So I don't know if that makes a difference, but that's kind of like where we're at right now.
But I think that's what's great about how we're sharing our experiences, because just as a disclaimer, we're not sharing based on official knowledge or anything. We're simply sharing our stories.
Yeah, just our experience.
As far as exactly what we went through. And so, one day we'll have like a guest from the immigration law or something, which is not hard to do anyway. But for now, it's just us sharing our stories.
It's just us. Yeah. So that's kind of like, so kind of transitioning from us becoming a citizen, right? I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about like the hardships of like coming to America and what was like our biggest struggles and stuff. But let's dive more into culture shock. Like maybe when it comes to, Joy, you touched a little bit on this last episode where it's really hard to translate humor, right? That's also for us. I think for all of us, it was really hard to translate humor. But let's also talk about dating. What was it like dating here? What was the culture shock around like the dating scene when it comes to like moving to the States?
Quiet.
Quiet. Okay, I'll start so I can get it out of the way. But anyway, in the Philippines, we are so used to courting, right? Oh, a guy is interested in a girl, and then he will ask the girl, "Hello, Joy, can I court you?" And then you can either say, "Ow, no," or you say, "Sure," or whatever. But so if your answer is like, "Sure," then they will start calling you via the landline. "Hello, can I talk?" And then you would talk for hours, and then they would start asking you out to go on movie dates or whatever. And then that's what I was used to, and that's what I was used to witnessing around my friends, because Filipino boys are used to what do you call that?
Arana?
Yeah, well, that's super old.
The
But
courting process, yeah.
courting process. So you wait there, you decide. When I got here, so guys are just like, "Oh, okay, we'll be friends," and then all of a sudden you get a text and says, "So what are we? Are we dating?" And I'm like, "What does that even mean? Like, I don't understand." And they don't have a label like, "Are you officially my girlfriend?" Or they don't ask you, "Can you be my girlfriend?" If they don't ask you to court you, then how much more ask you, "Can you be my girlfriend?" They just assume, okay, we seem like we're getting close, and all of that. But that for me, I did not understand. So I was so confused on whether we're together or not. And eventually just have to cut it off because you're just confused. You don't know what to do. And then it just fizzled out because you're not really acting onto your emotions. That if you really like that guy, you can't really move forward because you don't know what to do. So that was kind of like what it was.
But it's so funny that you mentioned that, because when I went to high school here, I learned the different phases of dating. So first, you're friends, and then you're talking, which just means you're getting to know each other. And then if you end up liking each other, then you're dating, which when you're older, dating means you can date other people because you're dating. You're not officially boyfriend and girlfriend until you're finished with the dating phase. I don't know. It's really different. And so, which is also funny because on the flip side, I looking back, I actually prefer to date someone with a different race, and so I have to be the one to adjust to the new dating culture, and I can't make them adjust to my standards, if that makes sense. Because I feel like I'm like a minority. Like I'm the one from the Philippines, and I can't come in here and just start like demanding for people to do it my way, right? So anyway, that's how I felt about.
I do it my way. How about you, Meg?
I really didn't date in the Philippines. Well, I kind of like this person and then tried that courting thing.
Courting,
But that
So Filipino, double, courting.
that was my experience. And then when I got here, everything was more fast paced.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Say what?
I said wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Everything was so fast paced that you can have like a dinner date and you could make out with that person. So it was like everything was new when I came here. So it was like a learning experience first, being like dating women and then another culture. And yeah, so
And the crazy
It was-
part, I feel like, which is probably a whole nother episode and a whole nother conversation. And dating in for dating a woman as a woman, I feel like in that world everything is even faster than if it's
Yeah.
man and women. So it's man and man or women and women. Like I feel like they meet each other and then next thing you know they're living together. I'm like, whoa. And so it's even more sped up. I mean, I'm talking just from stories I hear, I'm not generalizing, but from what I've heard and the people I know, it seems even faster with same-sex relationship.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. I think that what I liked about how it was in the Philippines was that it was just clear. It's like ask a question. If it's a clear yes, you can court me. It's a clear no, you can court me. Then we know we're in this process of courting. And the guy, like it's like there's no like it's almost like there's no hesitation of like, what do I need to do as a woman? Okay, well, I'm just waiting because he's courting me. Like, do I like the things he's telling me? Do I like what he's doing? All that stuff. And then I just wait to see if he wants me to be his girlfriend, or if I can't wait, I can ask. I don't know. You know what I mean? But like, at least there's that phase. And like here, it's really when I moved here too, it was really like this is weird. Like, so that's just it. We just kind of like each other. We talk, and then all of a sudden we kiss, and then it was all of a sudden like. But we're not girlfriend boyfriend yet, but we okay, I don't get it. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just so weird. But yeah. Yes, Sweens.
And this is a great content for all of those guys out there that are trying to get with Filipinas. Maybe
Who are born in the Philippines? Who
Yeah.
are born in the Philippines, I mean.
born,
Yeah.
born in the Philippines and raised in the Philippines. Because if you weren't
Yeah.
raised in the Philippines, you probably don't even know that life, right? But I think for guys, if you're trying to get in a relationship with a Filipino woman who was raised partly in the Philippines, then it's something to kind of pay attention to is our culture and try to what's the word? Try to accommodate a little bit of that expectation because we're just not used to moving so fast. And another thing I just realized is in the Philippines dating culture, I feel like the women had so much power. Like you have all the power in this courting stage because if you don't like them, I don't like the way you breathe on me. Next, like, I feel like we have so much power, right? Part even in an older generation, older than us, the man really had to court the entire family. So if someone in the family had something bad to say about you, oh, you're out. Even if I like you, you're out because my auntie doesn't like you or my third cousin doesn't like you.
Yep. Yeah, it's so true.
Because I remember my dad, when he was courting my mother, he would bring dinner for the entire family. I'm like, oh my God, how expensive is that for the pockets of the men? But here in America, like it's kind of, it's not that one has more power than the other, but it's a struggle of power. Like, the woman will play hard to get to keep the power, and the man would sort of not give the woman everything she wants to keep his power. So it's like a power struggle here. And
Yep.
but I don't know if I'm complaining or not, because because as women, as a woman, we fight so much to have power and to be equal. So then in the dating world, it's a lot of hypocrisy if we don't accept some kind of equality in the dating world too. So I don't know.
It's complicated. Basically, it's what it is. But I want to touch on two more things when it comes to just culture shock, because I know when we talked about this, just kind of like briefing about like culture shock in general. For me, one thing that I was really afraid of was the cops. I don't know what it was about. Like, I think growing up in the Philippines, it's like Filipino cops are like, it's like they're like Filipino policemen are like, it's almost like a joke, because we know that like nobody really implements rules around over there. Like everything is a guideline and you could just pay everybody off, kind of thing. And so we don't really.
Oops!
Did I really say that? Sorry, if you're a Filipino policeman and a cop and you really want to make good change in the world, I admire you and all hats to you, but all props to you. But the kind of like the stereotype is that growing up, Filipino cops are, you can just kind of skate through them, right? They can just be like, okay, sorry, or pay them off or whatever. But like here, I felt like when I first moved here, one of the things, and maybe it was also because my dad and my mom lived in so much fear because they were undocumented, but it was like, don't ever do anything wrong that's gonna like make the cops get mad at you. Don't ever like, just don't do anything. So like for me, getting pulled over, because I also started driving here in the States. I didn't drive when I was in the Philippines. So I started driving here when I was 21, and getting pulled over for the first time, oh my goodness, I can't tell you. I felt like I shat my pants. Like really, truly, like I was so terrified. Did you guys were you guys scared of cops? I was so scared of cops coming here.
If I was scared of the cops, it was because my dad was super scared of the cops. Like if my dad is driving happily down the street and he sees a cop in the peripheral view, he like all of a sudden he's so stiff, like he
paralyzed.
He's so scared of the cops, and I think it's just that maybe it's the movies, all those Bruce Willis movies.
Willis.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. The accent came out, but all Terminator movies. I don't know what it was, but my dad was scared to, get reprimanded by the police because I don't know. Maybe it's all the stories from, just the media.
Mm-hmm.
Was I scared? Of course, I'm scared to get in trouble, but I don't know that I was ever as scared as my dad was.
Yeah. Anyone else? Or was it just me and Sweeney freaking, well, I was really like paralyzed, scared of the cops.
I have a story that includes Joy and her parents. So she probably doesn't remember this or not even thinking about it. But I was driving Joy's car one time and I ran a red light. And it was during the time in LA where the article just came out that said that the red light cameras don't really hold any weight in the court. So if you get a red light camera ticket, don't pay it, don't do anything because no one's going to come after you. So I got a ticket, or Joy's car got a ticket, but I was driving it at that time. And I remember Joy's parents were so scared. So they're like, make sure that Sweeney puts her name in this ticket because it's not your ticket, it's not our ticket. And I was telling them like, actually it doesn't even hold weight because I did my research and that's what everyone was saying. There's a loophole. Mm-hmm. There's a loophole in the rule somehow that they didn't build some kind of accountability for these tickets to really like count. And so, but anyway, I put my name on there, like no worries. And just to let you know, Joy, no one ever came after me and I never got that ticket.
And now that you broadcast this to the world, all of a sudden you're going to get a mail, something in the mail.
It's okay. He has a defendant.
Oh yeah, that's true. You have a defendant, so right?
I don't know if that's the term for my defendant. It's a defendant.
I don't know even. I just made that up.
You have a dependent.
Oh yeah, there you go. I wish. So I can
He's
get
dependent on you.
okay, cut that out. Like we just don't make sense right now.
Okay. Well, moving on. There's just one thing I want to touch on is, obviously culture shock probably means like just friendships, right? Or how did we, when we got here to the States, how did we go about making new friends? And also how did we keep in touch with our friends from back home? Like I know Sweens, you moved out here when we were still in high school, right? So you missed your senior year of high school. And I think you have a surprise for us all, well, more probably for me, because I don't know what the heck did I write in those letters, but Sweetie and I kept writing each other back and forth. I was still in the Philippines and she's here in the States, and apparently she kept some of those.
I did. And you know what's so funny? Before I found them when I was cleaning up, I actually don't even remember how much we wrote to each other until I'm like, wow, we were that close of a friends. Like,
Yeah.
I have repressed memories too, so I just don't remember. But I kept letters from our what do you call the search ins? Our what do you call those?
Retreats, like our yes.
I kept letters. I kept certain things, and I'm not really sure. But here are some of Kat's letters to me, like the old addresses and everything. Like right here, Kat's letters to me.
Look at those stamps. Oh my
I know. Yeah. I only found 3 because I just quickly looked at my my baol. What do you call baol in English?
box of treasures.
There you
Treasure
go.
chest. There you
Treasure
go.
chest. So this was, I'm gonna read just a part of this, and the thing is, though, it's in Ilonggo, so I'm gonna try to translate at the same time. Some of it is about boys, so I kind of picked the one that's not too much about boys. And this was September 9, 1999. But before I read this one, when you guys were talking earlier, I was like kind of looking through to see like which one am I gonna read. And what I found really funny was one of her letters. It says November 21, 1999, 8/11. I don't know. Oh, 8/11. What is 42? And then she says she's in her room and she says she's listening to radio music 102.3. Like she's telling me like what she's doing at the time she's writing this. And then she goes, dearest Sweeney, bow dearest, dear lang, te musta na? So she basically said, dearest Sweeney. What? Dearest? That's, like that's a big deal.
That's too much. Just dear.
Just dearest. What's dear? And then she says, bago lang tapos in trams. So they just finished intramurals. So she's just telling me that a victory at Carmeli's house, and they threw Lori and Rodney in the pool. Like she's just telling me about her day. And then there was a card, and then there was another. Let's see.
I'm dying over here, guys.
And there's another one. She sends me this, and she says on the flap of the envelope, and this is in Ilonggo, so I'm just gonna translate in English to make it faster. She's like, "Look, my envelope is so nice, but when you open the paper, it's ugly." She said because Marvy, I don't know who Marvy is. You were like. Lavadia? Do you remember?
Marvy Lavadia. She's from LaSalle.
And yeah. So you said because Marvy doesn't want me to have the pair stationery for this envelope. So I guess I'm just giving you ugly paper. And I don't know what this is, but the paper.
It's the conspiracy theory.
It's the conspiracy
theory movie.
Yeah, I mean, wait, let me make sure I'm on speaker view. Yeah, this is her paper. So she said, my envelope was pretty, but my paper's ugly. So, and again, she's just telling me about what's going on in her life. And then there's this card, and then she says, I read a little bit of this, and this was on September 9, 1999. 7:55 p.m. She's very specific. I wonder what kind of letter I was sending to you, or if I was doing the same thing. But in this letter, you were just telling me that you're like, oh, I heard you got into your dance squad. Congratulations. And then you said, I'm currently studying for world history because we have an exam tomorrow. But I'm really sad because I want to dance. I want to do cheerleading, but they're not letting me because I have to rest so I can sing in Nopsea.
Nopsea. What's Nopsea again?
Gross Occidental. I don't know the P.
It's something that,
Competitions.
what, Joy?
It's like a competition for like singing or
Oh,
sport
yes.
or
Yes.
declamation.
Yeah, so you're saying they want me to rest so I can sing in this competition, but I'm crying because I want to do both. So I called my dad, and my dad said, well, if you have time for both, as long as there's no conflict of your schedule, then you can do both. So anyway,
All that to say, I'm still crying to this day because there's like 5 things I want to do at the same time.
until this day,
Nothing changed, guys.
you're the same person for sure. What? I don't know. I don't want to read the rest because it's a lot. But anyways, just to say that I kept some of our letters, and I don't know how long I'm going to keep them, but they're just going to stay in this box, all those letters I've had. And in this box, actually, I have cards from my dad. So I'm glad I kept some of these things. So
That is so crazy, right? Like just even seeing the letters and seeing the stamps and how like we all communicated with each other back then. But also like just to our viewers, that kind of goes to show that you guys, like we really have been friends for a long time. It's-
we sent handwritten letters. Kids these days probably don't even know how to mail a letter or address
no.
an envelope.
My brother's like, what do I do again with this envelope? Where do I put my name? Where do I put my to and from? And how do I do the stamp? Like, it's really funny. But anyone else want to share as far as like, how did you go about making friends here? I feel like Sweeney and I took over for like the last 15 minutes of this. but also like, how did you cope with leaving your friends behind?
Friendster,
No?
Yeah.
Friendster.
and phone cards.
Oh yeah, phone cards. Lots
Credit
of phone cards.
Yeah. But to this day, I mean, we're friends. Like all of us are friends, and Pal's not here today, but I feel like each and every one of us also have separate friends. I mean, mind you, there's about 100 girls in our batch. And so like Joy and her group, I see you guys do a lot of Zoom calls when it's one of you guys' birthdays. So, I mean, like there's some of you that are still like catching up with your other friends too. And I think that's amazing. I think that we having been friends for 30 plus years and having known each other since we were Sip Onon.
What's Sip Onon?
I don't know what Sip Onon is.
Snot rockets,
There you go.
snotty little kids.
There you go. Since we were snotty little kids, like there's just nothing that can compare to that friendship. Even when we first moved out here and we make friends and we have different friends, it's different because they don't know what we went through, like, we can look at each other and like, just like that, we understand our jokes, and that's not easy to have.
Yep. Well, I hope that you guys enjoy this episode, especially when we were sharing just about our citizenship and our journey to citizenship and what that means for us and for our families. And for any of our viewers out there who are listening, and maybe you're in the same boat, of still trying to figure out your citizenship, we just encourage you to not give up, to do whatever you got to do to really push forward and get that for yourself, for your family, because it really could change the trajectory of your family line, right? Just again, it's not like America really is, it is really like a land of opportunities, because if I was in the Philippines, my career as a dancer, it's just not gonna happen, or it will happen, but I would always be struggling, so it's just really different over here. And so I just encourage you guys, it didn't come easy for any of us, right? For a lot of us, it came with like a lot of sacrifices, but But if you have a chance and an opportunity to seek it out and to push forward with it, we encourage you to do it. For those who are already here, for Filipinos out there who are already here and you guys were born into citizenship, we just remind you it is such a privilege, and be thankful and maybe help others along the way who are struggling with their citizenship. And whatever you can do, whether that's just a word of encouragement or pointing them in the right direction, do whatever you can do to support others in their journey of coming to America and getting their citizenship. So yeah, anything else you guys want to add? All right, well, I hope you guys enjoy that. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on YouTube, and you can also follow us on all podcast platforms, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again for tuning in into another episode of the All Abroad podcast. We hope that you enjoyed the show, and if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hit the like or subscribe button. You can also comment, and we'll be sure to get back to your comments. And if you are listening to us on iTunes, make sure to also rate and review us. Thank you, and we hope to see you soon.